Yo, what up, guys? We got another week's video. Got my brother-in-law here.
What's
Mark.
up, guys?
And yeah, today we're gonna walk through the most popular Harley ever bought.
It's definitely a controversial bike, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yep, there it is in the back. Mark Sportster. So we're gonna jump into all the pros and all the cons that Mark has. Yeah, you either love it or you hate it. I've owned one, loved it. I think a lot of people have owned one. They're a beautiful bike, some good pros and some good cons. So yeah, I'm gonna let Mark go ahead and jump into it.
So this is my bike right here. It's 2010 Iron 883. Super popular bike. People have mixed opinions about it depending on who you are. I remember when I first saw this bike, it was actually something Sterling was riding. Not this specific one, but he was riding a 2014, somewhere around there, 2014 Iron 883. And I saw it, I thought it sounded amazing. I thought it looked super cool. And it sparked my interest into it. So now here we are. I own this bike, and I'd say there are 3 pros and 3 cons that I would like to go through with this bike. Pro number 1 for this bike has definitely got to be character. I think if you're not too interested in character or heritage of a bike, then this bike may not be the best one for you. With this bike, I mean, it has a motor that goes back to the 80s, the Evo motor. It sounds amazing. It's definitely a lumpy bike when you get on it. You can feel how it's idling, and you can feel that bike. There's also a lot of, I guess, retro styling here, just with how it's a naked bike, pretty stripped down. So with that feeling and the looks, the character that comes with this bike, it's kind of hard to get. I don't think you can buy anything quite like it today. So that's pro number 1. Pro number 2 kind of goes along with character, and that is sound. I think these bikes sound incredible, especially when they get warmed up and the idle gets super low. It's kind of choppy and uneven, and I like how it doesn't sound consistent. Almost sounds like it's gonna die, which is cool. So let's go ahead and start it up and see how it sounds. So, I mean, that was a huge selling point for me when I heard this bike. It wasn't like your super precise sound where it's just, it was very rough and kind of rowdy. I really liked that. It's a cool feeling starting it up and just riding it around town. So that's pro number 2. Pro number 3 is the size of the bike. I'm talking the engine size, the actual weight of the bike. It's all very good for me where I'm at. I'm a beginner rider, and because of that, I didn't want something that was going to get too crazy on me or that would get me in a dangerous situation. I mean, motorcycles are dangerous regardless, but I feel like this is a safer way to go about it. So I started out on a Honda Rebel 300. That Honda Rebel 300 was great. I think it handled really well. It was super light. And I remember when I first got on it, I was like, I don't know if I could need much more power than this. I just like riding around town. But then, you know, a month goes by, 2 months go by, you're definitely eager to get more power. So going up to this, I feel like it's the next rung on the ladder. You know, lots of people ask, why wouldn't you just go for a 1200? I mean, that brings in another reason why this is a good beginner bike, the price. It's cheaper than most 1200s, not always, but often the 883 you can find for a really good deal. I've seen some really good deals at around $4,000. You know, between $4,000 to $8,000 you'll see these bikes. So for a Harley, a Sportster, not a bad deal. And where I'm at with riding, if you're a beginner to intermediate rider, you'll have a lot of fun on this bike. You're not going to find yourself struggling to balance it up because of weight. Or being overpowered. So that's pro number 3. All right, con number 1 actually ties into the pro in a way, pro number 3. and that is the power. So 883 cc's can sound like a lot if you're looking at something like a bullet bike or a sport bike. On Harleys, it's totally different. The engines, the cc's are not going to put out as much power as you would think. So these make around 48 horsepower, maybe 50 if you put an exhaust and an air filter on them. And because of that, they're not super fast. They definitely won't blow you away. But from my experience, just being a guy who didn't know much about bikes and going into it, I mean, I go on the highway, get it up to 80. You're definitely in fifth gear, sometimes drop it to fourth to try to just slowly eventually pass someone. But you know, it works, but it's also a con, especially if you're a bigger dude. I happen to fit it pretty well, so I roll with it and I like it. Definitely haven't outgrown it yet. I mean, if I were looking for performance, I'd probably go for something that is more of a sporty bike to begin with. So that's con number one. All right, con number two has got to be the ride on this bike. So around town, it's absolutely amazing. It's so fun. You get to a red light, you gotta get through, you know, 3 gears to get it up to 45. And it's fun, you know, shifting through gears and doing all that. But as soon as you get on the highway and you cruise for any amount of time, the first thing you notice is the suspension. So stock suspension, it's really rough. I mean, you're looking at about 11 inches here, and it's got, because of that, 1.5 inches of travel or so. So it bottoms out easy, it's stiff. It's not very well dampened. Harley probably does that for cost savings. But regardless, the ride on the highway is not all that great. So my family is going to California in just a week here, and Sterling and Mac, you guys may know them, they're going to ride their bikes to California. Everyone else is flying. And I wanted to do it, but just looking at myself doing 8 to 10 hour days on this bike just doesn't seem possible for my back. I mean, it's possible, but it wouldn't be enjoyable. So that's one con. You have to think about highways. I mean, there's no fairing on it. And you can do things like you can put a fairing on it. You could put some, I see lots of people do progressive 412s, really cheap option to lift the back up a little bit, to increase the comfort and that handling a little bit. But it's never going to match something like a bagger, like a, you know, if you're looking at a street glide. I don't know if it will quite be to that same level. So that's con number two. All right, con number three has got to be the dynamics of the bike. I think most of you will agree with me. I'd be surprised if some of you didn't. But even though it's called a Sportster, it's not ideal in the corners. It's not ideal in straight line. The bike is, I mean, it's a lighter bike compared to other Harleys, but it's still, you know, mid 500s, high 500s. And the way that it's set up with the suspension, it's not one that can really swing into corners. I don't see that as a huge con because I just like bikes. I like getting on them and cruising. I mean, if I wanted to get something that was more performance oriented, probably go with an SV 650, something that's like more of a sport oriented bike. I feel like that's not the reason you're buying this bike, but it is a con. That being said, you know, I put about 1,000 miles on it, and I haven't found myself wanting to have it do anything crazy that it can't do. And with that being said, I mean, I love the bike. I plan on keeping it until I'm super old. I always keep this one in the garage. It's my first bike. The Rebel 300, it was not one I actually owned. I just learned on that one. But this is the first bike that I bought, and I'm very happy with it. So I love the character. I love the sound. Every time I get on the bike and take it out, I just feel like it is just putting a smile on my face every time. So big fan of the Sportster. You know, maybe one day it could get something like a 1275 kit and make it kind of crazy, but you know, in the end, I just like it for what it is now, and we'll see where the path of riding bikes takes me. I might get something else and add it to the collection, or stick with this for a few years. But if you're interested in getting one, you're a lighter guy, and you just love the character of Harleys, you will not be disappointed.
Perfect, guys. You heard it from the man himself, Mark. So yeah, I agree 100%. Sportster, an amazing bike. The character, the style, There's fewer Harleys personally that I think look that good. It just looks sleek, slim, trimmed down, and it sounds incredible. So super sick bike. A lot of times I'm jealous. I miss riding the sports around town. So yeah, fun bike. Let us know your thoughts on it. Let us know what pros or cons we missed. I know there's a lot of opinions about the Sportster. So yeah, we're curious to hear them. Comment below. And yeah, we always appreciate you guys. Okay, ride safe.
Peace.